it is I, Ilamour, and I am coming to you with a focus on the Settlers 3 video. And as usual, we focus on the Forester first. All these Fs are making me frantic. This cheeky little chappie will plant your trees and keep your settlement all well stocked up with wood for as long as you like. He doesn't need anything in which to start. He just gets going, nurtures his little saplings, plants them in the ground, and they grow up into the trees that your woodcutters will then use to bring your boards and your logs and everything else to life, which is what you need to grow. The Romans, if we start there, have a lovely little thatched cottage that the yellow-hatted Forester lives in. It takes 3 logs and 1 stone to build your Forester's hut, and as soon as you do, he will go out, he will start planting trees at whatever location you set. And you can set the location like this. The building does have a silhouette on the ground. As you can see, it takes 55 spots away from you, so that's how much room it takes, and those spots all have to be free in order to build a Forester's hut. Moving on to the Egyptians, they're similar, although their hut looks a little different and they use a lot more stone, so you need 3 stone and 1 board in order to create your Forester's hut for the Egyptians, and they take 73 spots with that silhouette you can see on the screen, which means they're a little bit more expensive. They take up a bit more room, so a little bit harder. It means both of these though take similar times to build. If we move on to the Asians, you can see these are cheap. They only take 2 boards and no rocks in order to build, and they only take up 38 of your spots with a very circular silhouette. So more efficient for the Asians. It doesn't affect how they plant the trees. It just means that you need less room and less time to build them. And if we move on to the Amazons, again, similar to the Romans, take 3 boards, 1 rock, and the silhouette is 54 spaces, and she will plant your trees exactly the same as all of the others. Let's think about that tree growth. All of them plant the same tree, but randomly that tree will turn into a birch, either type 1 or 2, an elm type 1 or 2, or an oak tree. As far as I can tell, based on observations, there is no order to this. It's just that birch is a lot more likely to happen statistically. It randomly selects birch more. But apart from that, there's no difference as far as I can tell. However, we'll find out more when we focus on the woodcutter. Something that I should mention here, of course, is that he will not go and plant trees outside of that red line. He'll stay within the line. It's colors within the lines, good man. The other thing is that you can stop him from working by pressing on the little house button in the menu, and when you click on his building, and then you click on the little house building in the menu, and then you can turn him back on. The reason why you would want to do that is because you can't build buildings if there are trees in the way. So if he's going ham and just spamming trees everywhere, then you won't be able to build buildings where you want to, and it will also possibly hold up your settlers. So it's good to be judicious. How do these trees grow? Well, there's 3 stages to this. First you plant it, and then there's a first stage of growth, a random time after you plant. Then there's a second stage of growth, and then there's finally a third stage of growth where the tree grows to its maximum height. And if we look at the timings of those, after the tree is planted, on average, it takes about 64 seconds for the tree to grow to its first stage of growth. However, that can happen almost immediately. The fastest I witnessed it was 4 seconds, and it can take a very long time. The longest I witnessed was just over 2 minutes, 127 seconds. Then from the first stage of growth to the second stage of growth, much less variation. It's much less random. It takes on average 133 seconds according to my observations, and there's very little wiggle room. And then the third stage of growth, very similar, so 129 seconds on average. I'm going to guess that those times actually would coalesce around 130 seconds. So on my observations, the average time for a tree to grow from planting to actually being fully grown is just over 5 minutes, 326 seconds. The longest it can take, and this mostly is impacted by that first stage of growth, is 416 seconds, and the quickest that I saw it take, 258 seconds. So there's quite a wide range, but it all really depends on how quickly it grows right at the beginning. The chart shows the purple line as being the average, and then the blue bar of the variation that can take place within these stages of growth. Now, what does that mean? It means that if it takes 5 minutes and 26 seconds on average for a tree to grow, it takes your forester about 24 seconds to plant each tree if you're centered around a pretty even spot where there's room for the forester to plant. And that means that you can plant on average 13 trees before the first one grows to its full height. Why is that important? It's important because that will tell us how quickly the woodcutters need to work in order to chop down these trees. And if they work really efficiently, we will only need space for 13 trees, or maybe 14 if there's a little bit of overlap. But certainly you wouldn't need any more than that. So choosing the area where your trees are going to grow, making sure that it's easily accessible to your foresters and your woodcutters, is going to be really important. But understand this, it takes about 5.5 minutes for each tree to grow, and so you need your foresters to be working away to provide your settlement with all those lovely boards. Thank you very much for watching. That is the end of this episode of Focus on the Forester with Settlers 3. I hope you enjoyed it and learned one or two things. It'll get a lot more interesting when we get to the woodcutter and the sawmill and we understand how those things have to work together. Have a lovely day.